Now we're going to talk a little bit about how to do granular treatments. You'll notice, especially during the winter time, granular treatments are very, very popular as part of our service protocols. They're good because sprays, they're awesome. They're great. During the spring, during the summer, during the fall, they are super effective. But you definitely want to spice up treatment methods so A, you don't get resistance, and B, you consistently get different types of pests. Certain pests won't get treated by the sprays because maybe the topical spray doesn't penetrate underneath the organic debris in which they live and they forage. Also, sprays don't get to the base of things. They stay on the leaves and the outer foliage. So at least once or twice a year we try and swing by and do a granular treatment as part of our regular service protocols, especially during the rainy seasons when you know that a regular spray would simply just get washed away while the granules are going to penetrate the soil and be more effective. Okay, so right now I'm going to show you how to do a granular application. It's very common during the winter time when pest activity is not as high, and also when we suspect that during that month there may be a little bit more of a wet season, to do a granular application. And the reason for that is because you don't want to use sprays that are just going to get washed off. And also sprays are oftentimes much more effective on an active ant trail or an active spider infestation. So in this case, this month, we are going to be using Wisdom by Fenthrim-based granules. So you're going to unlock your chemical box. Wisdom granules and pretty much any other granule that you store and have on your truck always should be properly sealed. Whenever they're not in use, you're going to seal the top, and then also, just for additional security, you're going to clamp with one of these high pressure clamps shut the granules. So while they're in transportation, no granules shake out. Just like any other pesticide, familiarize yourself with the label before the application. Now, this label is very specific. You cannot apply during the rain, all right? And you also have to make sure that you are applying with what's called proper application equipment. Now, when it's just a small area, like a small residential lawn that's going to get applied or anything like that, it's totally fine just to use a regular plastic jar and apply by hand. If you're going to be doing a very, very large area, like a very, very large grass field that might have a problem with turf pests, or if you're going to do a big, large commercial field, like perhaps maybe a baseball field or some other area that's large and grassy, you're going to make sure that there's no potential for runoff, because you never want to apply on a site where it's going to run off in either to a creek, a stream, or a local groundwater reservoir. You don't even want it going off in the gutter. You always want to make sure that you can apply it at a proper rate. So sometimes in very, very large fields, you have to make sure that you're using a spreader, and I will show you what a spreader is later. This is a mechanical spreader. As you can see, we're here in a big residential lawn, and we're going to spray, well, not spray, but treat with a bunch of granules. If you've got a large area to cover and you can't use the by hand method, we recommend you use one of these devices that spreads the pesticides for you. But anyway, just for now, you just have to make sure that you have your proper protective equipment on. You open your granules. You scoop out the proper amount. In this case, it's been marked with the tape right there, so we know that there's a proper amount there. You reseal the bag, reclip the bag, replace the bag inside of your chemical container, and as always, lock and seal it. Now let's go. The trick to making sure that you get a granular application right is making sure that you apply it in all the right areas. Now, be very careful of wind. You'll notice that there's sometimes a slight breeze in Santa Clarita. You don't want to be trying to apply into the wind or playing games where you're throwing it into the wind, hoping it lands in the right area. If it's too windy, just hold on a second, wait for the wind to die down. Also, you want to make sure that you're applying in areas, okay, where it's going to do a good job soaking into the soil, okay? So this is great because there's a bunch of flower beds here. It's a good idea to put it in the shrubs and so on and so forth. You're not allowed to apply onto non-porous surfaces like this cement below me any granules. So if you accidentally do get granules on the cement, come back with your de-Weber pole and simply sweep those granules back into the flower bed. But for now, we're just going to keep applying onto the base of the flower bed to make sure we get rid of all of those cockroaches and those crickets and all those other bugs. You're going to skip this area, maybe come back with a handheld applicator to get anything that's a non-porous surface that's underneath the drip line. And you're just going to keep applying like this, making sure that you apply the pesticide evenly around all the areas that are suspect. Just like with a spray pesticide, you're going to make sure you pay very close attention to certain areas. Here we've got sprinkler valves, okay, that are obviously going to condense during the summers and even maybe during the winters when they're on. And there's going to be additional moisture here. So you might want to apply a little bit of extra granules to that area. The only real rule about granules is just make sure that there's no impervious surfaces around, such as concrete or stone, in which the granules would just wash away. And make sure there's no koi ponds. Unfortunately, koi eat pelleted food, and if you accidentally throw a bunch of granules around and don't realize there's a koi pond there and throw granules in the koi pond, you might kill somebody's fish. So make sure you avoid koi ponds. And other than that, any kind of flower bed, any kind of earth area, just do a thorough treatment with granules and you're going to end up in really, really good shape. Just as is the case with other spray pesticides, you have to make sure that with granular pesticides, you're wearing the proper protective equipment. Once again, you have to have the 14 mil gloves, you need the long sleeve shirt, you need the pants, you need the boots, the eye protection, and head protection is not necessary as part of a granular application, but it is required as part of the uniform. All right, in areas where you know it's going to be dry, or maybe there are no sprinklers that are going to turn on to wet the granules, you can fill a BNG with just plain water and then go over the area that you sprayed the granules with lightly with a little bit of water to begin the wetting process. Some granules recommend that you wet them after you have applied them, as long as before the re-entry period there's no danger to humans or pets. Before the sprinklers come on, let's say, you don't have to walk around with a hose and soak down their lawn just because you applied pesticide. In fact, you never want to soak granules to the point of runoff. But sometimes in areas where maybe there may not be sprinkler coverage or there won't be any significant moisture anytime soon, it's a good idea to make sure that you simply wet the granules with a little bit of water. And after that, no more bugs.
Okay, we're rolling.
We're just going to do a close-up of me talking and then a wide of me spreading.